Hello, my little otter pops. Welcome to another exciting episode of Allison Rosen is your new best friend. That particular frosty carbohydrate was sent in on Patreon by Jason Best.
Patreon.
Thank you very much. I did mess up that line. What? Oh, and now Daniel's boss is calling. Jeff Fox, hello.
Hi, Allison. It's good to see you. And when we were taking that picture out there, I noticed your hair smelled really nice.
Stop.
It really did, though.
Oh, this old hair? Thank you. Let me take a whiff and see what I'm working with. I can't tell. There's so many different fragrances happening on me.
Is that a thing where you can't, it's like you have self-smell blindness? You can't smell your own hair?
I have nose blindness, I think.
Nose blindness.
Yes. But anyway, everything is going sideways so far, but I'm going to turn it 90 degrees, right? Yeah, then it'll be right side up or upside down.
180 degrees, I think.
Upside down. You're so right. Oh my God. I was just thinking about when you have a photo and you just click that thing and it goes 90 degrees. Like
right.
If it's, yeah. How embarrassing if my geometry teacher were ever to listen to this. She'd say, that's not the kind of angle I taught you.
She would say, I knew you weren't paying attention in class.
That's right.
You were out there chowing box.
I wasn't.
Or you looked like it.
Anyway, all right, let's just start at the beginning. We had a guest who dropped out right before, and that's okay because we are solid. You, me, and Daniel can do a show. But then Daniel suddenly stepped out right as I was noticing that I didn't pause for the drop when I mentioned Patreon.
But also, there was a skip when I was playing your song back at the top, which I will fix so nobody will hear it. But also, when I went to hit Patreon on my soundboard, it didn't play.
Okay.
So we're firing on all cylinders as far as I can tell.
What we heard was Allison. Was it on the Rosen or the Allison?
I don't know, but there
was some extra syllable. Anyway, I am on Patreon.
Patreon.
And boy, I know there's a skip again.
I don't know what's happening.
What is happening? I don't believe in Mercury in retrograde. But this is making a believer out of me. But anyway, Patreon, all sorts of fun stuff over there. You can get episodes of Friend Zone. That is my bonus Patreon podcast. And boy, is it like a soap opera. And juicy. All the stuff that I can't say here. That's what I say there. And then there's a level where I text you. You can text me back. And I do a daily text update. And that is a real soap opera as well. So get in on that. Do an annual subscription. You get 2 months free. I'm also on Substack. Wow. AllisonRosen.com. Nope, that's not where you go. I mean, you could go there and eventually get to Substack, but AllisonRosen.substack.com. Okay, here we go. I guess it's just you and me, Jeff.
No pressure. We went from 4 people down to 2.
And then
instantly.
there were 2.
And then there were 2.
I mean, but the most important 2, if you really have to measure it, which I do.
Well, I feel like you're bringing up the average, but yes.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Okay. So anyway, I would be remiss if I did not bring up the incredibly crazy and intense fish massacre that I walked in on yesterday.
Uh-oh.
You caught the tail end of it. No pun.
No pun intended.
Yeah. So anyway, Renee Colvert was here yesterday. We recorded an episode with her. You're going to hear this not in the, there's going to be more of a gap. But for us, it's consecutive days. We go into the house. Renee is like, she's like if cinnamon toast was a person. I mean that in the best way. She's so sweet and she's so nice. And by the way, she was doling out the compliments left and right, which feels so good. Daniel let me know that when she walked in, she's like, "You're giving to him." She's like, "You're giving Kumail a run for his money." Because he's been working out and stuff. Why hasn't Marvel cast you in a movie?
Wow.
I know.
Buff Kumail is interesting. He's a very different looking person.
He really is.
He got big.
Yeah. Yeah. You know who else also, and I don't think it's the same thing, but John Mulaney has changed his look too.
Oh, really?
But people suspect that's like filler in his jaw. I don't know if his body has changed, but his face has changed. Anyway, okay. So we walk into the house. Renee hasn't been here in a while. I don't think she's not up to date on my fish. And she goes, "Oh my God, is that a little turtle?" And I'm like, "Yes, it is." And then I look, and the little turtle is like vertical on the filter intake, which is like this tube, and I see the little turtle kind of like its head is sort of in the direction of this fish, which is upright and just like kind of bobbing there. It looks like it's like stuck to the side of the filter. And I noticed the fish is missing an eye, and in my mind the fish is like dying, or like the fish is still alive and the turtle is nipping at it or something, like seizing on a sick fish. This is a pink glowfish. Look, I'll be honest, the two glowfish we have, Owen shows them, pink and yellow, they have not been my favorite fish. They haven't been my favorite fish in the tank. The yellow one picks on the pink one, but I haven't seen that lately. But I noticed like 2 weeks ago, the pink one's belly looked very big. And I thought, something's up with that.
Maybe they're having pink and yellow babies.
I wanted that to be the case. I don't know the sex of these fish. But it looked like, this is like one of those things that I've read about now that I'm, into reading about fish. Like this is, I don't know what disease this is, but something is going on. I talked to my fish guy. He said like I could treat the tank, but he's like, they're like us. Like they could get cancer. It could be a tumor. Like nothing positive came out of his mouth. He's like, I would just let it. Is the fish still eating? And I said, yes. He's like, I would just let it play out. Those were not the words he used, but that was the vibe I got. And I think there can be downsides of, because you put antibiotics in the fish tank and then it treats the whole tank, and there can be downsides to the plants, or I don't know. It's sort of it's more complicated than just like giving a dog medicine or something. So anyway, a couple weeks ago, I was worried about this fish, and then it seemed to get better. But then yesterday, the fish was suctioned to the filter intake, missing its eye, being eaten by a turtle. And I was like, oh my God. And then Daniel peered around, I guess. And anyway, by the time I fished the fish out of the tank with a net, which was not much later, the fish was missing both eyes and its tail and another fin. It was so... It sounds funny because this fish is like, 1.5 inches long, right. But it still felt like walking in on a murder scene, and it was grisly. There's something about, no matter what size the being is, there's something about having no eyes, which is so upsetting. Yes. And then to think that Turtleine, the light of my life, apple of my eye, my favorite turtle, and more, was chowing down on this fish. The problem is Owen named it Cake and he named the other one Lollipop, or vice versa. And those are delicious names. To think that the fish was doing this, and like, I don't want to see Turtleine as a bloodthirsty killer, but I don't think Turtleine killed the fish. I think the fish died, and then Turtleine saw the opportunity for a meal. I don't know.
It's like you've been chowing box, man.
Exactly. And like, where are the eyes? Did Turtleine eat the eyes? Did the eyes pop out? There is some fish disease where their eyes like start bulging. Did the eyes pop out? Did other fish eat the eyes? Did the shrimp eat the eyes? Are the snails involved? You can't get a straight answer.
I feel like as long as Turtleine didn't kill the fish, I mean, this is all very gross, don't get me wrong, but I don't feel so bad because it's a dead fish.
Yeah.
Turtle got to eat, and there's what is in the real world would be turtle food sitting there,
right? Not
doing anyone any good.
Honestly, this is probably pretty similar to what's in the turtle food.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't actually say eyeless glowfish or anything, but it is like ground up, krill or fish meal or stuff like that. So they make a fish meal out of fish meal. Yeah, you're right. Turtles are omnivores, so I don't think a turtle would kill a fish. Actually, I don't think the fish would put it, well, if it was dying. I mean, I don't know. I know that the fish store guy was saying with the turtle, to give it soft food because its jaw is not that strong yet
Mhm.
because it's a baby. Sometimes I think about the ethics of taking a baby turtle away from its mother, and then I just feel guilty. So its jaw is not that strong yet, so I don't think it could actually do any damage. I don't know. The whole thing was it's the grisliest thing yet in this tank. And now I keep looking at the yellow one thinking like, oh, are you sad? And I'm sure I'm projecting because I don't know that fish can be sad. Just like when the Royal Grandma, which was the beautiful purple and yellow fish, which if you follow me on Instagram, instagram.com/AllisonRosen, you know that saga. One day that fish was just gone and I don't know where it is and I don't know what happened to it. But the next morning when I suspected the clownfish till I found out that it couldn't have been the clownfish, he had an alibi.
He was at the circus.
Yeah. The cardinal, which is another fish in there, I was like, oh, he looks like he's hiding in the corner.
He's got secrets.
Well, no. Oh,
or
I didn't
seen
even.
some stuff. He's
seen some
traumatized.
stuff. That's what I figured is he was traumatized. Can a fish be traumatized? I don't know.
I would assume so.
Yeah.
They could see some scary stuff and
they're like, oh, these are unsafe waters.
Want to be in a safe space.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think maybe that fish has been a little more reluctant to get in the middle of the tank. Sort of like the way I am if I ice skate. I don't like to go to the center unless there's no one there. But I don't know. I mean, but sometimes the fish is in the center of the tank. The thing I have to do is I have to get a fish tank cam, which is not a thing that exists. But I need to like...
Really?
You'd think it would, right?
I really would think. But I guess it's just a webcam.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? They have pet cams, actually. I
Right.
should look at those. But I think I just need to like train a camera on the fish tanks.
You need to get like a Waze cam. Is that what they're called? Waze?
Ring?
Wise. W-Y.
Oh, yeah, Wise.
Or one of the security ones where
Yes.
you can have it, you can set up an alert like, if a fish dies, ping me on my phone.
Right. Yeah. So would it know, though? Is it wise? Is that the point?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure they don't know anything.
Yeah, so I got to do that.
But you could live stream your fish cam, too. I think
I know.
people would probably like that. Somebody would like that.
Yes. I just have to make sure to somehow get it so we're only seeing fish tank and not like me running out to the laundry mountain on the couch looking for fresh underwear and things like that.
Right. And there's a microphone issue, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they have a built-in mic.
Okay,
You
yeah.
have to shut that off.
We'd have to make this airtight. I know. They're too bad you can't like stick it. There should be one that goes in the fish, like literally in the fish
water,
tank.
yeah.
Of course, then that would shoot out. It would get like a blurry me and like a blur going like, where's my underwear? Peter, or did you destroy another pair of underwear? All right. So that happened. Another thing. And I wish Daniel were here to discuss this because, Jeff, your name came up.
Uh-oh.
Not in a bad way.
Uh-oh.
You know, Burbank
All lies.
is chock-a-block with vintage stores.
Mm-hmm.
And Daniel, maybe because of the new Kumail body he's sporting, which, by the way, it's not... he's been working out. He's been working out. And he's been... I don't know if he's still doing Weight Watchers, but he did Weight Watchers. He's been taking an interest in the next chapter of his life, let's say. Mm-hmm. So anyway, he's sort of like me in that he'll wear the same clothes for years and years, and then he'll be like, it's time that I get new clothes, as opposed to the people who are frequently bringing stuff in. So he's been, you heard a little bit about his interest in denim yesterday and how to keep up denim. So he said something which I knew was a part of him, but which I've never experienced before, which is, I'm going to go to some vintage clothing stores.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go vintage clothing shopping. Do you want to come with me? And I didn't really want to go shopping, but he's like, it'll be like a field trip. 2.5 blocks away. But I said, sure. Partly because I thought, though, it'll be fun. I haven't been into all these stores. And then also because I actually still have some items from my mom and from my grandmother that I don't know what to do with. And so I thought this will be like recon to see if maybe these would be stores where I can. The thing is, my estate sale experience was like in aggregate fine, but a little bit disappointing enough. It's like, oh, that camera that camera from the 60s, you can sell it online for $800. You sold it for $150.
Right.
That hurts. And that's how the estate sales are. Like, oh, we didn't again, ethics of this notwithstanding, we had like 6 different fur pieces. I didn't sell those in the estate sale, but those would have been sold for like $20 a piece, which granted, fur does not hold its value at all. Like you can't get very much for it. Fur's a bad example because that's something where all over the place it's dropped. But like, everything is like $5 or $10.
Right.
So I have a feeling these things that I'm hanging on to, all told, I could get like $40. So I should just toss them or donate them, actually, is what I should do.
Well, people that I know that sell, it's kind of the same thing as back in the day when people would sell CDs, especially if you worked for a music magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And there was always this story of, oh man, I pay my rent with selling the review CDs I get. And in practice, whenever I try to do that stuff, the result is underwhelming. It's a lot of work for very little money. And then they only take like 25% of the stuff you bring in. And then you're stuck with a crate full of CDs that you don't want. And it's like, well, what do I do with them now?
Right.
So vintage clothing, I feel like, is the same thing. Like I know people that flip things to vintage stores and they say they make good money, but that's what they do. And they have an eye for it. And they have a huge bundle of a ton of clothes that they know are going to sell that they've picked up in thrift shops or whatever.
Right.
And so if you have that mindset and you have that experience, you can go in there and probably turn some decent money. But with a random pile of
right,
who knows what you're going to get? Or
exactly.
If it's gonna be worth it.
Yes.
It's just a way to, I don't know, get rid of it, really.
Yeah.
But also, you can make the argument too of donating it to a thrift shop and taking a receipt and taking a tax.
That's a good idea because it would help us to do that. I think with going back to, have you ever done an estate sale?
Have I ever run one?
Like, held one or
no?
Or do you go to them ever?
I've been to them. Yeah.
I get the sense that there's some that are sort of high end estate sales, and then there's some that are more garage sales. But I think because I was just talking to a friend, and then I'll get back to the vintage clothing shopping yesterday. I was talking to a friend who, actually 2 different people I know, one just had an estate sale for her husband's, I think, grandmother's house, and then one is in the process of doing one too. With a friend who just had one, we were talking about how it just like emotionally it begins to eat at you because it's like it almost feels like this vulture feeling of like people just
picking the bone, less meat off the bones.
Right, going through your stuff, even though you chose to do it.
Yeah.
And like I said, in aggregate, we did make money from it. I think I just have to regard it, and this would be my advice to someone else in this situation. It's a way to clear the house.
Right.
It's a way to empty the house because we were going to throw it out otherwise.
It's a big volume proposition.
Yes.
That's the thing. I have 2 friends that inherited a house full of stuff. And keep in mind, I would say 30% of the stuff is like, oh my God, super collectible. This should be in a museum, historical, crazy stuff. Like I cannot begin to describe. But then 50% of it is, I don't know, is this worth anything?
Yeah.
And then the rest of it is like, it's garbage. And they've made a business out of selling this stuff. But, some of the stuff is so fancy and rare art stuff that they're selling them through like Bonhams and auctions houses, stuff like that. The point being that is a great opportunity in terms of clearing out a house, in terms of, there's a bunch of legitimately valuable stuff here. And even with them, we're constantly talking about what a bear it is. It's just such an overwhelming pile of stuff to get through. So, you can be bummed that the camera only went for $150, even though it's worth $800. But for you to really take the time to extract the full retail value out of the stuff that's in there,
I wouldn't have.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have been able to. Yeah, and I
think it's impossible.
I think so.
Yeah,
right. Unless there's no, you know what? Unless you are the sole beneficiary of the whole thing, and you have infinite time, and you want to do it,
right?
But, my sister and I are the co-trustees. There are other beneficiaries. We have a time period in which to liquidate. Like, we just don't have, But also advice for anyone in this situation. We did go with an auction house, a couple different auction house. One auction house for the stuff in the house of value, and then one auction house for the stamps. And I'm glad we did that, because that does seem like you get a little more value than the estate sale. So I think that there's like stuff that's good for auction, stuff that's good for an estate sale.
Right. But even if you're just taking that house or any house and splitting it into those 3 channels, that's an exhausting, huge project.
It is. Yes.
So
it has been.
Yeah, for you to want to extend that project over the next 6 months or something, you made the right call.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, we have not sold the house yet, but in my mind, because the house is empty, I'm like, oh, we're done. We finished, but we totally have not finished. But I do think figuring out what to do with all the stuff for us was probably the biggest lift.
Yeah.
I hope.
It's a big burden, and there's an emotional tag to it.
There is.
And here's the thing to keep in mind. I do this when I give stuff to a thrift shop, is that I think, you know what, this is a neat thing. Maybe I could sell this on eBay for a little bit more money, but I don't want to. Give it to a thrift shop, and it's like circle of life. I probably found this in a thrift shop, and I was real excited to find it. And if you can give something to a thrift shop or a vintage shop or whatever, somebody's going to discover it and be really excited about it. You know, there's some fun in that.
Right. The stuff that, the thing with the camera was, we like looked through, you know, as many boxes as we could. But some boxes I would open them up and I'd be like, okay, it's skirts. And then I'd move on. So there were certain things that when I was looking at the woman who ran the estate sale, when I was looking at the stuff she was posting on Instagram, I was like, oh, I had forgotten about that. Oh, I remember that from when I was a child. Like, oh, you found that? How cool. Oh, not that I would want to hang this up, but like, oh, that was a needlepoint my mom had done for me. And that actually sold, which is cool. But the camera was my mom's father's camera. I think it's Raleigh. Do you know that brand?
No.
And I remember thinking at the time it was really cool, and I just didn't find it when I was going through stuff. So then it's like, oh damn, I would have wanted that camera. And were you here to hear about how I accidentally sold my snare drum?
No.
Yeah.
I was wondering why there wasn't a snare drum with the kid.
My drums had been stored at my parents' house, so I went down and by the way, Daniel's like, you can handle the drums yourself. They're not that heavy. I was like, these actually are kind of heavy. So I, removed all the drums in quotes. Then was sitting here looking at the stories that she was posting, and I'm like, oh, I had another snare. I never had 2 snares. That was the snare. And then I texted her and I'm like, oh, hey, did that snare drum sell? And she's like, yeah, it did. I didn't even ask how much. I didn't even want to know. That was on me. That was my fault. I will go buy another snare. It'll be fine. Anyway, back to the vintage shopping. I don't think I own one piece of vintage clothing purchased at a vintage store. I own some old clothes, right. But I have not ever gone thrifting or vintage shopping. So I was like, I'll look around. I think it's just not for me.
Vintage shopping?
Yeah.
Or vintage clothes in general?
Vintage clothes, unless it's like, I don't know, if I'm ever in some situation where some kind of personal stylist is like, I selected this for you and I washed it 45 times and this would be great for you, then I might be sold on it. But a lot of the stuff I was like, I kept finding reasons. Well, it's neat, but it's cool, but there's stains on it, but, and then the last store we went to was weird. It was like, I don't know what it was called, but it was very Spartan inside, but with a lot of racks of clothing. I enjoyed the way that almost every store that we went to, the clothes were, oh, here comes Daniel. The clothes were like organized in a rainbow fashion. Hello, welcome. Don't talk till you get on mic.
Hello. Sorry about that.
Quants.
Want me to catch you up?
Yeah, catch me up.
Well, so right now we're talking about vintage clothing. I kind of just started vintage.
Oh yeah, we did.
Did I
vintage.
say vintage?
Something like that. That's okay. Yeah, it's vintage.
It's a video.
Okay.
So anyway, what I've already talked about, the fish massacre. Do you have anything to add to that?
Oh my god. I think I solved the mystery of how its eyeballs were removed.
How, did you find an eyeball?
What?
Did you find an eyeball?
No.
Okay.
So when we discovered this fish, it was like being. It was next to the pump.
Yeah.
It was
the filter intake.
The intake.
Mm.
And it was like,
oh God, you think they got sucked into the filter?
I think its eyeballs got sucked into the
God.
filter.
It's horrible what you did to that fish.
I don't think another fish ate the eyeballs. I think it just got sucked out of his head.
That means that the eyeballs are in the filter then. Ugh.
Nummy.
I don't have the constitution for this. This is too upsetting. When the fish have been, yes, they're Owen's, but really they've been my grief project. But I don't want to I'm microdosing death. I don't want to do it anymore.
You're re-traumatizing yourself in tiny, tiny little pieces.
It was a mistake from the beginning. I didn't want to say anything. But anytime you engage in the works of nature, it's a grim.
Tell them how you think that you saw through the fish's head through its eye sockets.
Well, I did.
I didn't realize that. And I scooped the fish. Oh, wait a minute. Now I'm wondering if it did seem like a hole punch. I can't remember. I was so... Ugh. Okay, anyway, so we talked about
the hole
that.
Went all the way through? Is that what we're saying?
That's what he's saying, but there's got to be something in between.
Well, there might be
eyes.
like a membrane, but it was clear. You could see through that.
I don't remember this part. Yuck. Okay. Do you feel like the yellow guy looks sad?
I mean, fuck him. He was a jerk the whole... he was like... he's a little bully.
Yeah, but I don't feel like he was near the end.
I don't know. Honey, he's a fish.
Okay.
So I noticed him being a fish, doing fish things.
Like what?
Swimming.
All right. Like he wasn't eating this morning, which I don't think is grief.
It might be fear.
Of what?
Well, if you just saw your friend suddenly like have his eyeballs sucked out of his head and then get being gnawed on by another friend, that might traumatize you.
Yeah, you'd be shook as a fish.
I would. I would think so.
Yeah.
Well, we were wondering. It's part of what we discussed. Do fish get traumatized?
Everything gets traumatized.
That's deep. Anyway, I'm wondering if he is also sick. But another thing I'm beginning to realize is that fish kind of have an expiration date, and you don't know.
Well, these were got them used. These were used fish.
These were fish that had been returned to the store, and so then, and they're supposed to.
The tags were off already.
They're supposed to be peaceful, but when I noticed the aggression happening, I said to the guy, "Did someone return them because they were aggressive?" And he said, "No, he returned his whole tank." I don't know. I didn't push for details.
He couldn't handle the hobby.
The horrors of the hobby.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we talked about that. Okay. And then I started talking about how we went vintage clothing shopping yesterday. And then I went into a whole tangent on the estate sale, on the fact that the $800 camera sold for $150, on the fact that I accidentally sold my snare drum. And we were just talking about getting rid of stuff and whether it's worth it to really try to place each individual item or just kind of let it all go in an estate sale type situation, etc. So anyway, now I am sharing that I don't think vintage clothing is for me because and then I was talking about the last store we went to that had no decoration but had a great soundtrack. They were playing Nirvana and the Pixies. It was so,
but not the stuff you normally hear, so it was good. It was ooh, yes,
deep cuts.
Yeah,
what station is this? What
like Nirvana from Bleach, and Is She Weird? I forget.
Is she white? Is she Promised to the Night?
Yeah, and just stuff you haven't heard in a while. You're like, oh yeah, that song's cool. It was an experience you don't have often anymore, which is that experience of being in a kind of grungy retailer that's got good musical taste.
Yeah.
And it's got a vibe. Right. It's got I like hanging out right now in this place. I never get that. Everything's so corporate, it was designed in a spreadsheet. Do you know what I mean? It was you could see all the graphic design being mocked up on a PowerPoint at this place. That experience is everywhere now.
Right.
But We're lucky. We live like there's like this just awesome fucking stretch of Magnolia Boulevard.
Yeah, it's so fun.
And it's got tons of vintage stores and antique stores and like
a couple little restaurants too.
And like there's this one shop that used to be, I think it used to be like a boutique for women's clothes or something, but then the pandemic knocked a couple of these businesses out, unfortunately. But this guy moved in, and it's like a interactive art exhibit is what he calls it. You walk in, it's got like, he's built like a little forest in there.
But was that a specific interactive art exhibit that's
it's
like
what he calls it.
No, but is it elves, trees, and geodes and weird lights 100% of the time, or is that just like for the next 2 weeks?
No idea.
It was so weird. We walked in and it was like, this is so cool. What is this business?
Like there was nothing for sale.
Yeah.
And
you couldn't buy one of the 400
You might have been
geodes?
able to buy the geodes. I'm not sure, but like for the most part, they were just like little fairy gardens and like hidden little secret things. Like he built these trees inside, but the tree trunks you could like remove part of it.
You'd like lift up a flap and then you look inside and there'd be like a tiny table.
Yeah. And it was just like cool, you know, like, oh, this is
I actually thought when you know how, I don't know if they have this in your neighborhood, but there's a lot in Burbank, tiny fairy gardens. So
I just saw one today.
They're so cute. I thought, so it's like, you know, like a little door against a tree and like a little tiny fairy garden situation around public trees. And I thought when we walked in, like, oh my God, this is a store dedicated to that. I didn't realize.
Yes, I did too.
I thought this is where you go to make a fairy garden.
Well, you're not used to a store that doesn't sell anything.
So anyway, wait, can we get back to
what you want to talk about?
Nirvana Pixie store?
Oh, yes.
Here's the weird thing. There was something that was weird about that store because they had like a certain type. So it's all vintage used clothing, secondhand clothing, pre-owned. They had like this particular skirt and then they had it in every different color, like a number of them in every different color. What's going on? They had these denim tote bags, but they had like 20 of them. So it just struck me as something feels off. Off is not the right word. I don't know. My brain couldn't make sense of it.
I think, yeah, it was probably like they bought a lot or someone had a lot and sold it. You know, like someone had a bunch of them for whatever reason.
But why would they? Were they dance costumes? Not the tote bag part, but these skirts?
Who knows?
I don't know. And the skirts were one size. That's also weird. They must have been costumes. I bet they were costumes.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But there is It's a Wrap, which is a store across the street, which is great, where all the productions.
This was called It's Not a Wrap.
So, because here's a little secret: the wardrobe departments for shows, what they'll do is they'll go buy stuff and then return it. That's like they'll buy their stuff at Nordstrom's or whatever.
And then
for
have
the
it
show,
be worn and
then the
it?
stuff that's not worn, even some of the stuff that's worn, they'll just return it. But if they can't return it for whatever reason, they'll sell it back to It's a Wrap, and then you get it for like a great discount. It's a Wrap, and it's never been worn, so it's brand new.
So I tried a skirt and 3 t-shirts, and I didn't buy any of them. I just was like, I don't think I just couldn't shake thinking about the person who owned this before me. And then also the one t-shirt I liked, it had Cheech and Chong on it, and it was kind of like kitschy and cool, but I just felt like for me, this is almost like wearing a cool band shirt of a band I don't listen to.
That's
I'm going to get stuck in conversations that are out of my depth.
You'd be hanging around, a lot of people would be walking up to you going, "Dave's not here, man," and you'd be like, "I don't."
Yeah, and I'd have to be like, I think that's a reference.
You really do have to only wear stuff that you're into, because you will get into conversations with people, and then you have to either like say, "I don't actually, this is ironic," and then it's awkward.
This was $7.
Or you have to pretend that you like it, which is also awkward. There's no way around it.
So then we walked out, and I thought, after I sneezed 1,000 times also, and I was like, vintage is not for me. And then Daniel also said he had his issues with vintage, which we can get to, but he was like, it's a certain kind of person who can pull off vintage, and we decided you are one, Jeff.
Oh, thank you.
I think it's totally different reasons for women than for men. I think for women, you have to be like
a Betty Boop girl.
You have to have a strong sense of your style.
And it has to be that style.
Well, I think there's a larger variety of styles for women in a vintage store. For men,
Maybe.
you this is what you get for men. You either get like just old like business shirts and just stuff that's boring that you could wear to the office, or plaids and flannels, and Western shirts, which I generally like, and then like ironic T-shirts, and that's kind of it. Like, so for dudes, like if that's your style, it's awesome. But if it isn't,
But that is all the dude styles. What's missing?
Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah, the Hawaiian shirts generally aren't great there. If you go to there are vintage stores that kind of do more curated, where they will really search for good stuff and then mark it up.
Right.
You can get good ones there. But like in your sort of average just used joint, that's kind of what you're getting. And if that's your style, I don't. For me, it's like there's always stuff that I like that's either it's like a Western shirt I love, but it's like genuinely vintage, and guys from that era didn't have broader the shoulders. Like it's for skinny guys. Like they never, even if it's a large, it never fits me. Or, nothing ever fits me. That's really the bottom line with vintage. The stuff I like never. Or like there was a shirt I liked, and I thought, oh, this will look good on me, and I tried it on, and I looked so weird.
What kind of weird?
It looked like I was wearing one of those like Native American blankets. Like I was like Clint Eastwood. You know what I mean?
Did it have a
like
collar?
a poncho.
Yeah, it had that like style, but it was a T-shirt. It was just a really nice fabric, and it was cool, and it was like the right cut, and it was very simple. It wasn't even like that intricate a pattern, but for some reason, I looked like I was.
Did it tent out?
Like the good, the bad, and the ugly, or something.
I'm just trying to understand that.
It was the vertical.
Oh,
sorry, horizontal stripes, but the stripes themselves had a kind of pattern,
But like a little zigzag.
Yeah, and I wasn't expecting. It was just I just like, oh fuck, I can't pull that off. But anyway, I was just looking for belts. God damn, men's fashion it's so hard to find interesting, good stuff. It's like everything's so fucking bland.
It's either bland or super douchey.
Yeah,
There's nothing in the middle.
Yeah, it's true.
There's some like corporate surfwear type stuff that's okay that I like. Like what's a brand?
Hurley?
Yeah, like Hurley, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, and even that's kind of, I don't know. But yeah, it's either like super douchey Ed Hardy or just like blah.
Yeah, I'm thinking like my next hobby might be making like belts.
Like Dave Huntsberger. So are we correct that you do pull off vintage clothing?
I mean, I wear it. Whether I pull it off or not is for you to judge, which you kindly have said yes. But yeah, I think I have somewhat of a vintage look going. But, it's like I'm already working it like with vintage style glasses. So I'm kind of already there. And I wear a lot of Western pearl snap shirts.
Love those. But
also it puts a crimp in my shopping, because if I go in a store and I see a nice Western pearl snap shirt, I go, oh, that's nice. I have 20 of these at home. Like, why do I need another one? I don't need another one.
Are they all vintage?
They're not all vintage.
They were for a while, because they weren't quite in the fashion world hadn't caught up with the trend.
Right. And the ones that were being made, they weren't kind of cut the same way as the vintage ones. The vintage ones have a little bit more of a taper in the waist, and the newer ones were just kind of boxy.
Yes.
But I don't know if it's the same company, but like Eli Cattleman, they started making new ones of those that are cut kind of exactly the same as the old ones. So
yeah, I found one I liked.
Cattleman, what a fun name! I've never heard of that.
And I was like, oh well, I could just take it to the tailor, but it's like, well, then you're paying like. Now you might as well buy a designer shirt at that point, because it's like $45 for the used shirt and then $40 to get it tailored.
I don't want to make this a only Burbank centric episode, but Daniel has fallen in love with Milton Edie's dry cleaners. Have you been there?
I've never been there, but I've been by there a million times.
Fall in love is too. I mean, I like it because it's convenient.
Well, you don't love them as much as I love Burbank Scales and Tails.
No, I don't. But I like that there's a They have on-site tailors there.
Oh, really?
They're open every day. The tailors are there every day, and they're just these old Italian ladies, and they sit back there. And when I've been there,
They
they're
also have
playing,
snacks.
they're playing
apparently.
like opera, like on their little stereo, and they have these thick Italian accents. And I don't know, I just love the idea that there's like, a bunch of nonas back there.
That's sweet. Yeah, I've been by there a million times, and I just think it's so cute, but I have no occasion to go there.
I took Elliot there, and he liked it because they give out free bags of popcorn,
Smart.
and they have Oreos. So
Wow.
Listen.
Yeah, I knew about the popcorn, but I did not know about the Oreos.
Yeah, and they'll do fluff and fold, and I do like that.
Let's do
What?
our signature segment.
Which is
Yes, please, or oh, please.
He said, yes, please, give me some of that. Oh, please, that's a bunch of crap.
All right. There is a trend of people saying, appreciate you, instead of I appreciate that. And like I was at the bank and the teller needed help from someone to know how to do something. So she called on the phone and then she's like, appreciate you. It's often, it's not like if I gave you my kidney, thank you, I appreciate you. It's not that. It's just replacing. I feel like I'm revealing how I feel about it. And we haven't even gotten to the part where we say yes, please, or oh, please.
Oh, no.
I know. So it's just in where you would say, I appreciate that, or I appreciate it. Now people just say, appreciate you.
Right.
How do we feel about it? Yes, please, or oh, please. I take it you haven't noticed it.
I haven't heard it a lot, but it feels a little like I'm trying to be cool. Like, appreciate you, bro. Like, I don't know. I don't have a problem with it. Because I have to have a strong take in this segment. Yeah, I fucking hate it. Fucking assholes.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Jeff?
I have mixed feelings on this because I don't want to poo-poo it because it is people expressing gratitude,
That's true.
which is very nice and very kind. But it definitely seems like it's a hip thing that people are saying. And I could be going out on a limb, but I feel like maybe we discussed this on the show before, but I feel like it's a little cultural appropriation because I think this came from the South, from the African American community.
Oh, really?
And then white people started saying it.
Yeah.
Oh.
I could be wrong.
Is this AA? Wait, what is it? African American.
Vernacular? AAVE?
Yes.
Something like that?
Yes, AAV is what I was trying to think of. Yeah.
And it's also, if I have a beef with it, it's that it's grammatically incorrect. It's like, we got this.
Mm-hmm.
It's not we got this. We've got this.
Right.
So appreciate you. That doesn't mean anything. I appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a proper sentence.
Yeah.
So if I was going to be a fusspot, it would be over that.
I think sometimes when you leave out the article, you say appreciate you or love you, it's a way of saying it without being vulnerable.
Right. Well, it's like Taylor. What was the thing that Taylor said that his mom says? Like,
oh, yeah. Whoa.
like love exists or something, or
Yeah, it's like lots of love or something
Lots of
like
love.
that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's yeah.
Well, listen, upon finding out that this is
Oh, look at you.
we've appropriated Africa, that this comes from AAVE. Now I feel like I can't go with my original thing that I was going to say, but I'm just going to go and I'm just going to say it, which is, oh, please, but only when it comes to white people working at banks.
There you go.
If you aren't white and you don't work at a bank, we can discuss it. We can hold a hearing to decide whether you have the right to say it or not. But in general, I don't like hipster slang where it's like, why are we all doing this now?
right.
And I feel like if it's a genuine expression of gratitude for something that warrants you personally being appreciated, like, oh, someone picked you up from the airport. Thank you. I appreciate. But even that, it's like, I appreciate it so much. I don't know. It feels a little bit like, it's a little bit of an overstatement. Like, I don't think you actually appreciate me. I think you just want to say something cool. Oh, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like the intention is to give you more credit. 'Cause it's like, I appreciate you,
Right.
but it weirdly feels less specific.
Yes. Right, because it's a cliche at this point.
What's a
How about
cliche?
you mean something to me? Is a lot. It's a lot to say to someone.
But it's almost like you're sidestepping that you appreciate that. It's like you're saying you appreciate someone writ large as opposed to I appreciate the thing that you have just done for me.
Yes, agree. We are a bunch of fusspots, and that's okay. You know, I kind of wanted to do this one for a little while, but with each guest, I think to myself, do they say this? Do they, like with Renee, I don't even think I've heard her say it, but she's a kind of appreciative person, so she might have. And then,
I feel like appreciate you might be the kind of thing someone says when they're like, I don't want to just say thank you. I want to really let them know.
But at the bank?
Like, I want to really let them know that I understand that, I see you. Like, I appreciate you. So it's like this, it's like a over, like, but from the point of view of someone who works there, it's kind of like, it's my job. Like, you don't have to, like,
you just say thanks.
Just say thanks. It's fine.
Although I'm like a thank you so much kind of person in writing. Thank you so much with like multiple exclamation
points. See, that
points.
shit can get a little patronizing.
Is appreciate you the participation trophy of compliments?
I think it is. Wait, explain how the thank you so muches can get.
Well, it can. I'm not saying yours do, but I'm just saying like when someone is like too effusive, it's a little bit like, okay. I mean, like for me in my job, if I do something for someone and they do that, it's always a little bit like, I would rather not do any of this, right? Like I'm not doing it because I like you so much. I'm doing it because it's my job. So settle down.
That's very Gen
I actually
X.
know exactly what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
Like just say thank you. It's fine.
Right.
I mean,
now you're making me uncomfortable because you're making it out like I did this humongous thing for you and I didn't.
I did not do this for you. Yeah. This is not like a favor this is my job. So settle down. Just thank you's enough.
Well, I had an exchange today with someone who I'm trying to give this story without going into all the details. We received a bill with some late charges on it. Not the one you're thinking of, Daniel, but a different one. This is related. And the late charges, there's a good argument for them being reversed.
Great.
So I had, asked this woman, could these be reversed? And she's like, I'll look into this. And I said, then I gave a thank you so much. And then she.
Well, if someone goes out of their way, then I think it's okay. Like if someone.
Right. This is, You're right.
If someone really does you a solid, then of course. Yeah. That's different.
How do we feel about doing you a solid? I think I'm okay with that one.
I like when people do me solids.
Sounds like a poop, though.
I love it when I do a solid. I prefer it, actually.
To what? Doing a liquid?
Mm-hmm. Very much.
That makes sense. Let's do, here's a segment we haven't done in a long time. iTunes comments of the week.
Ooh. Mm-hmm. Is there even an iTunes?
I mean, it's Apple Podcast comments of the week. But I think we have a jingle for it.
Yeah, I just have to find it.
Okay.
I'm a little rusty. Here it is.
Allison wants your iTunes comments. Allison wants them, yes she does. Please leave her some iTunes comments and don't forget to click 5 stars.
Has anybody heard from Trap Dog lately?
Oh.
So he like retired from music making.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I text with him every now and again.
Okay.
Yeah, infrequently.
Okay.
But,
just because the last time that I talked with him, he was talking about taking a job on a cruise ship or something doing music.
Oh, no way.
And then COVID happened.
Oh.
And then not that I heard much from him, but then I just thought like, oh, I hope he didn't get stuck on a COVID cruise ship or something.
No, I don't think he ever went on a ship.
Okay.
I believe last I heard he was driving a bus with kids on it. But I don't think just a regular school bus, like a specific kind. I don't know if it was like a bus to camp or something like very sweet and perfect for him to be doing.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Love my new best friend. Lagamerd. I just discovered Allison from another podcast and have been listening almost nonstop since. The conversational style of the podcast feels so real, like I'm sitting down with my friends and catching up each time. I've had to go back to see how Allison and Daniel got here. Thank you so much. I've got to know, what podcast did you discover me on? But alas, it is not so rosy. Daniel, can you read this one?
Okay.
It's about you.
Daniel is a sellout. Oh my God. This is from Jigga. I do love your show, but Daniel discovered you just like most of us did on the super right Adam Carolla show. I'm serious. Your husband should take a deep breath and center himself a bit. I should center myself.
No, they don't mean it that way. They mean it the other
I
way.
agree. Centering me is a good idea.
Wait, how do they mean it though? Center yourself. Like get centered.
Well, I would say, I mean, maybe people don't know the whole history of Adam Carolla, but like he only revealed his political side. I mean, pretty much while you were on the show. I would say like before you came on the show, you could maybe guess what he thought about, but they didn't talk about politics. He never talked about politics. He was cranky about things, but he was cranky about stupid shit. That's what was funny about Adam. Adam would get worked up about stupid bullshit and talked a lot about his family, which was relatable to me. And I mean, genuinely a funny person, Adam Carolla, just a very witty, funny person. And I don't know. I thought a lot of it was shtick, to be honest. Like and maybe some of it was a little like exaggerated, but like, no, he's really. You'd think like no one's really upset about that. No, he really is. So it turns out he really is like that guy. I didn't know, but yeah, then he became right wing over time. It's not like I listened because I was like into Prager, you know.
He's a wise man.
So like. A lot of people, by the way, liked Adam Carolla because Adam and Drew did Loveline, and maybe I don't know if who this person is, what generation or whatever, but like Loveline was important
to so many. Taylor Williamson was saying he listened to it all the time. I listened.
You got to
to
understand. I'm gonna take a second here. So like I listened to Loveline when I got here in LA. It was only on K-Rock. Poor Man was the host. Who they did it in the 80s. They're in what movie? They're like not Heathers. Was it Heathers?
No, someone else is in Heathers. There's another radio guy in
I forget
Heathers.
what movie, but they're in like one of the like Fast Times or something. Like where like Drew and Poor Man are in the movie. Like okay, so they did it through the 80s, and then Poor Man got fired or something, and Ricky Rackman took over for a year or two, and then Carolla came in. And they just were really funny, and it was just a fucking teens calling in, asking questions about their sex lives or whatever, and getting yelled at by Adam, and getting, advice by Drew. And it was like back in the day, you didn't have YouTube and shit. You just have the radio on, and at night you'd be doing your homework, whatever, and it would be on. And they just became like probably this podcast is to you, right? Like it's just like two people talking, taking calls. And giving teenagers a hard time, which was really funny. I moved to Tucson after college, and it was kind of a dark time for me. And I felt really like I don't know, like I'd flamed out, like like things had gone the wrong direction, and I was like in a deep depression, and discovered that Loveline was syndicated. I thought it was just on K-Rock. But it was on a station in Tucson. And so, in a way, I could come home from my job because I got a job like at a deli after work, late at night. And it would be like it was like being back. It was a connection to my life in LA. And in a way that and it's not the reason for it. I'm going to overstate it, but like.
It's like a lifeline.
It helped me feel connected to myself in a way because I was losing. I was like adrift. And so it was like I could come home and listen to Loveline in the same way that I would listen to Loveline when I was in LA. And it was calm. It was good. And so like I had this real affection for them for that reason. And so then when I came back to LA and then whatever, and then he took over for Howard Stern, and that I listened to that. And that was really funny. And again, he wasn't political. And I wasn't political, though. It's just like it was a different time. We're talking about like, Clinton and shit. Like, who was political back in those days?
It was like Rush Limbaugh, and that was it.
Yeah, like it was just not the same as it is now. It
Yeah.
wasn't it's nearly as polarizing. And then and then I met Allison through the show, but Adam changed. I think something changed in Adam, and he, you could talk about why or whatever, but like it was sort of dispiriting to see, and I stopped listening to him, and that's that.
But also you changed too. Because when I first met you, you identified more as a conservative than a liberal, wouldn't you say? Like you had gone back and forth a little bit.
Okay.
And now you're extremely left.
I don't think that's overstating it.
Okay.
I was always socially very liberal. I mean, I think that my feelings about the Democratic Party and the Iraq War became difficult because I felt like, I don't want to make this political, but it's like I felt like I didn't relate to the Democratic position on foreign policy. I didn't agree with Bush's, but I just was like, the Democrats aren't serious about this. And so for a while, I liked McCain because like he was my senator in Arizona. I'd met him. I thought he wasn't mainstream Republican, but he had like, he seemed to understand what was going on in a way that like, frankly, Obama didn't. And so I was just like, man, maybe this is what I am. But then Obama like became president, and I thought he was good. I didn't like certain things he did with the bailouts. So I was like a little bit pushed left by Occupy, and because that's kind of where I felt more a kinship with that sort of anti-Wall Street. And then he supported gay marriage, and at that point it was just like, well, I had to support. Like it just pushed me back to the Democrats because it's like, well, now you can't use that as an excuse that both sides are against gay rights. Well, it's now one side clearly supports it, so I guess that's where I am. But I still feel the Democrats are weak on foreign policy. I don't think the Republicans are correct on it either. But so I'm not saying like that's the problem. Everything tends to get polarized.
Right.
Like, oh, if you're not this, then you must be that. Well, it's like I'm kind of not either. Like
Yeah.
I don't.
Can I have more than two choices, please?
Right. Like I just don't think either of them are right. But if I say like, well, I don't support that, you must be a right winger. You're like, well, no, I'm not a right winger. I probably agree with 99% of what. And I actually do believe that most people agree with way more with each other. It's just that you
Totally.
get polarized by stupid issues, and then that's all you talk about. You're like, oh, like right now it's like trans stuff, and everyone's getting all polarized by that, or immigration. It's like, but if you just lined up in a blind taste test and you just said issues like values, probably most of us would agree. That's what's so crazy about politics. Like most people agree on most shit.
Yeah, there's polling that has been done on it. Polling
Yeah.
and focus groups, and there's like 60 to 80% agreement on most issues.
Yeah,
across the board.
Most people want the same things.
Yeah.
And want society to be the same way.
Yeah.
That it's not like most people don't have radically different ideas about what society should be or whatever. I don't know. It's stupid. Anyway, I forget what the question
Well, you've truly centered yourself, Daniel.
Just as he had. Well, you were
I
the
was
one
joking.
talking about me.
I was
being
joking. I was
some
joking.
crazy right winger.
I did not say that. I said you were
I will say this.
You were more conservative than you are now. And I thought it was going to be a problem for me.
More conservative now is like left wing compared to where the Republican Party is right now. By the way, like if I was exactly where I was politically 15 years ago, I would be considered a fucking radical left. That's how, like, the Republican Party now is more defined by Rush Limbaugh style politics. And that's really like I grew up, my stepdad was like, his brain was pickled by fucking Rush Limbaugh through the 80s. And I would every night, like at the dinner table, he would just say this shit. And it's like, I don't think people are appreciating how much that is actually, it's not Reagan. It's not any of that shit. It's fucking Rush. That changed this country. That's what, and I have never agreed with that shit.
Is he still alive?
No, he died. He got the Medal of Freedom or some shit from Trump, and then he fucking died like of cancer.
Sometimes I lose track of all them. I think it might be time to listen to a call. I put out a solicitation for calls, a request for calls, a call for calls. We got some voicemails. It was send in a just me or everyone, a hey, go fuck yourself, or just a comment on how you're doing out there. These are not screened. Let's hear what we have.
Okay.
Hi, this is Sylvia in the area. I have a just me and everyone. I was recently laid off because of all.
Uh-oh.
I thought that I would be really bored and kind of maybe sort of judge people who didn't have a job or didn't do something else, like raise children or volunteer or something. But I am really, really enjoying doing nothing. It's been awesome. So just wondering, does it, or do other people also like think that way? Anyway, again, Sylvia from DC. Bye.
All right, let me see if I can find, Google sends me the transcript. I was recently laid off because I will be really bored and maybe kind of, it's totally, I think it transcribed what it could hear as well. Okay, so the just mirror everyone is she maybe kind of judged people who didn't have to do something else than raise children or volunteer or something, but I really, really enjoy doing nothing. Let's piece together what we think her just mirror everyone is. I think we think her just mirror everyone is, I think she used to judge people who do nothing. Like if you don't have a job and you're not like raising kids or volunteering, she used to judge them. But now that she's been laid off, she loves doing nothing.
I think that's the gist.
Yeah.
Can I just say, I think it is so messed up that our society is so messed up that someone who's raising, you'd say to someone who's raising kids that they're doing nothing.
No. I think she was saying if you're doing nothing, you should at least be raising kids. Like if someone was doing nothing and not raising kids, that was my sense of it. Yeah.
Wait, so she's just like literally doing nothing at all?
Oh, look, you're judging her.
No, I'm just curious. That's the life. That's the dream.
She's saying she's loving
That's
it.
the dream. No, I only hate those people because I'm envious. Most of the people I've met like that, though, are just like trust fund kids. I've never met anybody who's...
I will say, this is going to sound hugely judgmental, but my mom, she worked at the Marine Land of San Francisco for a little while. And
she was like a teenager.
Yes. And she did... and I guess I've discovered via letters that she worked in her father's office. And then I know that she also managed my dad's office. And she did all the financial stuff in the house and did all the bills and all of that. So those are work type things. That being said, she never had a job.
Right.
And there's another person I deal with who also doesn't have a job. And I just feel like you got to be careful because if you're not working, your brain can corrode, it can curdle. And what I noticed with the people I'm dealing with, what I've noticed is a sort of distorted value placed on time. Mm-hmm. So whereas if you and I'm making gross generalizations. If you have a job, you're kind of like, well, that's not worth my time, or that is worth my time, or here's a way to do this a little more fast because I've got to fit in a lot of things. And my mom would want to, and I have part of this in me too, but she would want to well, what about, you're like 9 9/10 on the way to making a decision. And then it'd be like, but wait, what about da 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 da? And it's like, Mom, it doesn't matter. We're just going to make the decision. Like, it doesn't matter, and she wanted to spend a lot of time perseverating. Yeah. And I think that's what can happen if you don't have a job.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, I don't agree with our Protestant work ethic mentality in this country.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of leads to a lot of sickness. However, I think that it's good. It's good to have to be responsible to another person. It's good to be forced to get things done. Like, it's good to be productive. It feels good. It feels good to be.
It's not about having a job. It's just about doing something that is work.
There's a deep need in humans to be of value to other people.
Yeah. It's like dogs wearing those vests with pickle jars in them.
Yeah, like when you are in a state where you don't have any responsibilities and don't have a job or whatever, you're going to lose something important. There's going to become a vacuum in your soul. Like you need that to be filled. I was thinking about like Bezos and these people who are like, they don't have to answer to anyone. And it's like their brains must be like turning to mush. Because, like, no wonder they're focused on space and shit. Like, what do you do? Like, as a human being, you know, it's like, Bill Gates, like, what he did is he said, okay, I've got to find a new project. I'm going to, like, create the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and we're going to try to fix starving people and whatever. I don't know what
fix them. Why are you so hungry?
They did an education thing that failed, and they just whatever. But it's like that's their way of like I've got to apply myself. I've got to be of value. But you see so many who don't, and they just like Elon. Like he just becomes like a ketamine, a drug addict because what the fuck else is he going to do?
Well, and also there's this fine line between ambition and just being a thirst that can never be quenched.
Right.
In a sickness kind of way.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the people that you named are of that, you know, where people go, oh, they're so ambitious, they get so much done. And part of me goes, when are you going to get happy? You know, they're always pissed about something. Mm-hmm. They're always, you know, trying to pick a fight about something. They're always trying to be the center of attention. They're always trying to make more money, even though they have more money than they could ever do anything with. And part of me just thinks, this is kind of compulsive. Right. You know, like, do you enjoy your life at all? Like, why do you always need to be the center of attention?
The best thing to happen to any of them would be for them to be grounded and forced to answer to somebody.
Right. Well, that's a big part of it.
Seriously,
I think.
Like you must become responsible to someone else.
Right. All the people you named, like how many of them in the last 15 years have had someone that they had to listen to tell them to shut up?
That fucks your head up.
Yeah.
Like that's not normal. The human mind is not meant to live like that.
I want to amend what I said a little bit because I'm realizing I'm basing this on a very small sample size and there could be other things going on. Like I'm sure that there are plenty of people who would define themselves as stay-at-home moms or as homemakers who their brain isn't curdled. Like it's quite possible that you can have an uncurdled brain and work that way. So I changed what I said. That being said, I do think it's good to do some kind of work.
Well, I'm not judging anybody like you are. You know, you're a very judgmental person. I kind of love everybody equally. Mm-hmm. But I think that what I've found is people who find themselves in a situation where they don't have to work, you know, the ones that maintain like a good, healthy balance, they just find other communities to be a part of. They volunteer or they develop some sort of interest of some
fish
kind.
Tanks.
Like they don't just sit around and do nothing and harass their children. They, you know.
Well, and by the way, I also think she might be judging herself by saying that she's doing nothing. You know, I enjoy doing nothing in that I enjoy kind of in my leisure time, just kind of knocking around. Like I don't necessarily need to buy a ticket to something and stand in line and go sit in an assigned seat and have some adventure. I like to just go for a hike and sit on the side of a hill and do nothing and just think and space out and relax. And I think that's okay. I think people don't do that enough.
I sure do. Just not the hike part or the hill part, but the sitting around and just thinking and doing nothing.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm a connoisseur.
I love that.
I'm such a connoisseur of that.
No, do nothing. I say do nothing.
Do nothing. Doing nothing is great.
I have the kind of brain though that I can't do nothing for very long.
See, I can.
At a certain point I start to feel like restless. But
I like tuck in. I'm like, it's been 3 days of doing nothing. Let's do 4 more. Or maybe not doing nothing per se as much as not leaving the house. I can be a real recluse.
Yeah.
I can be a lazy recluse.
Yeah.
But speaking to Daniel's comment about the Protestant work ethic, I feel like there's a bit of that poisons our leisure activities where it's like, I got to work hard and I'm going to play hard. You know, I got to make the most of get out and do a bunch of things on the weekend. Nah, you don't necessarily.
You got to work hard and you got to meditate hard.
Yeah. Or how about work an adequate amount and relax an adequate amount?
Yeah, we shouldn't be made to feel guilty about relaxing.
Let's hear another call.
Hi, this is Julie from Seattle, And I have a JMO for you. Is it just me or everyone that when there's fish tacos and fish and chips on a menu, you just can't decide which one to get because they're like both equally good, it's impossible to choose, and you just don't know. All right, thanks. Love the show. Bye.
I love a specific just me or everyone.
Nice.
I've not found myself in that position. I tend not to order fish and chips. But when the kids do, I'm always like, oh, look, it's funny. Fish and chips is something that is frequently on a kid's menu. Our kids order it a lot. And I'm always like, that looks so good. Looks so
fish
good.
and chips is that kind of thing that sounds good. And then after the first few bites, you're like, yeah.
It depends.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I think if given the choice, I'll always choose the fish tacos. Fish tacos to me are just far superior.
What you said about fish and chips is how I feel about fish tacos. I always have on TikTok. I hear a lot of people talking about when they're eating eggs and they get the ick. Like apparently, there's a whole lot of people who get the ick a couple bites into eating eggs.
That does.
Which I don't get that. But a fish taco, a couple bites in, I'm always like, the corn tortilla is very corny, and the fish is a little metallic, and I don't know if I'm enjoying this. Like 100% of the time, I have that happen with a fish taco.
100%.
100%. 120% of the time.
Wow.
Sometimes
Jesus
when
Christ.
I'm eating fish tacos and when you're eating fish tacos, I have it happen.
This is getting a little bit uncomfortable.
150% of the time.
420% of the time.
Right now I'm having it, and no one's eating fish tacos.
I feel like there was an era, and maybe it was the 80s, when there were a lot of fish and chips places.
Yeah.
And they were all owned by Koreans. And now there's like
Never
none.
noticed that.
They've all gone out of business.
But was it American style fish and chips owned by Korean people?
They were just like chains and stuff, like, H Salt. Remember that place?
Yes.
Or Long John Silver's.
Or Arthur Treacher's.
Mm-hmm.
Assault and Battery was a place in New York. Kind of funny, right?
That is funny.
Yeah. H Salt. That was owned by Koreans?
Well, they're always, the ones around where I lived, they were always.
I never went into an H Salt, but I was intrigued by it.
I mean, it was so intriguing. There was grease.
Was it good,
There was
though?
battered fish. I mean, yeah. I mean, sure. Look, the best fish and chips you're going to get is going to be like a British pub, right? Because they know how to do it. And they'll have the malted
vinegar.
They'll have
I
the
don't
malt
need that.
vinegar.
I
Yeah,
don't
it's
need
better. It's better with the vinegar.
Nope.
It is.
Okay.
I mean, look, if you're waking up at a 9 a.m. to watch some World Cup soccer and, you want that lunch, that's what you want. You want to be at a British pub, drinking a pint, having malt vinegar slathered fish and chips. That's a good meal. But, that's rare.
And are you also dipping in tartar sauce, though, or no tartar sauce?
I do. I don't know if that's the right way to do it. What do I look like, a fucking limey asshole?
Okay. Jeff, where do you come down on this one?
I feel like I almost always like fish tacos. Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been in a situation where I've seen both on the menu.
Yeah, me neither. That's what's so
I
specific.
don't know if I would be torn, but fish and chips, I feel like I get a lot of it, and also it can be hit or miss. So if, like Daniel said, if you're in a British pub or you're somewhere near the coast, your fish and chips is going to be a little bit better, but it could just be a lot of kind of fried food.
Yeah.
So I wave off of them pretty frequently.
You know what's interesting? Fish and chips is frequently cod, right? Or whitefish.
Mm-hmm.
You never see like fish and chips made with salmon. I wonder what that would be like.
Probably nasty. Because I think that the lack of
Well, there you go. The lack of a firm
strong fish flavor, the weak fish flavor actually makes it
right
better. If you had like a strong fishy anything, it would just be like, I don't know, it just wouldn't work.
It could be too much.
I mean, I just want to try. I just hope before I die I get to try battered barramundi.
I feel like I might have had one in Victoria when I was up there on vacation last year.
Was it good?
It was good. I'm trying to think if it was breaded and fried. I feel like it was. But yeah, I mean, that's British or British Columbia, Pacific Northwest. So I'm sure it was an amazing piece of fish to begin with.
Have you guys ever had monkfish? It's called poor man's lobster. I only had it once, and it still haunts me as one of the most disgusting things I've ever had. And I don't know if I just had like not good monkfish or if all monkfish is horrendous.
Yeah.
I feel like Greg Heller said something positive about it, but he has a different palate for fish than we do.
He's got a relationship with the sea.
Yeah.
I
should tell him about Turteline's massacre.
I feel like lobster is very overrated.
I know you do.
I feel like it's fine.
Now that I have so many shrimp in my tank, I don't know that I can do shrimp again.
You can. Shrimp is good.
You can? Shrimp is good? That's all you got?
Honey, you will. You'll eat shrimp again.
We'll see. Let's listen to another one.
Hey, Allison and Daniel. I'm calling with both a JMO and a Hey Go Fuck Yourself, and this is about gas stations. We moved from a different state. Now we live in New York State. And so the Hey Go Fuck Yourself is that New York State has disabled the little thing in your pump where you like go to pump the gas and then you can prop out a little thing and it like keeps the gas pumping without you having to hold it. Apparently those are illegal in New York State.
Why?
And so you're not allowed to do that. So you have to stand there like a dumbass and like hold the pump the entire time you're pumping your gas. It's ridiculous. So, hey, go fuck yourself, New York, about your weird gas pump laws.
Hey, go fuck yourself.
Everyone, tell New York about your weird gas pump laws. The other, is it just me or everyone, is about the gas and when you put your card in and then you say, yes, give me gas. And they're like, do you want a receipt? And you're like, yes, I want a receipt. And then it's like, see cashier. And I'm like, fuck that receipt.
Fuck
I don't
that.
care about that receipt anymore. I'm like going inside to go get it. No, thank you. So it really should be amended to be like, do you want a receipt here? Or do you want to go inside and get a receipt? Because it's always going to be a no if it's that receipt is inside. Thank you very much. Carolyn in New York. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Carolyn. If I have to go inside, I'm going to a different gas station. That's happened to me before, where it couldn't accept my card because it only takes XYZ, and I have to go in, and I'm like, I will just not be doing this. This should be a interactionless interaction. I can't imagine not having the little doodad because how are you going to clean off your window sheet, your
But what
windshield?
even is the reason for it? Why would you make that law?
Yeah, I don't get that at all. That's awful. Now you're now what? Do you work for the gas station? I got to look this up.
That's the worst. I just had an incident. I've had this happen a couple times where you're doing the card reader at the gas pump and it's just like insert card or swipe or hold for the chip, and then I do it and then it just gives me some weird message and then I have to redo it 3 or 4 times, and it just drives me nuts. And I love how in TV commercials it's like the person paying with the credit card is always like whoopsh, they're in and out, or the person paying with their phone is like whoopsh, in and out, and the person with the cash is always like, oh, but you money, what do I do with all? There's money spilling all over, and it's like the person holding up the line is the person who's paying with Apple Pay, always, or a credit card. Like, cash is fast.
Yeah, the other related thing, too, is, like, don't ask me if it's credit or debit.
Right. Shouldn't you know?
Just you fucking tell me what it is.
Yeah, why
Right.
doesn't it know?
Why do I need to tell you that? You fucking read it. You know what the fuck
And then
it
it'll
is.
say, hold your chip up to this thing, and then you do it, and then it's like, can't be read, swipe card. It's,
I always just insert my card like an old person. I can't. The
Well,
tap
the-
thing
the-
is very confusing.
The
to me.
tap doesn't always work. Sometimes my card will get declined on the tap, but not on the insert. So I just don't bother.
I just never really quite know where to tap it. I feel like I don't
It's
know
all
what I'm
very,
doing.
it's hard for us.
Okay,
old
listen.
people.
So it has to do with New York's fire code. New York's fire code has historically restricted the use of hands-free clips at self-service gas pumps. The ban was initially based on concerns about potential overflow or gas spills if the clips malfunctioned. I never drove in New York, so I didn't know that. That sucks.
I feel like you could get a piece of Velcro, like those ties that you put around cables, as we have it right in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
Just take one of those with you, put it on.
Do you think that would work?
Yeah.
Sometimes I should carry one of those because sometimes I have trouble with those. Like, I will put the little self-clip thing there, and then I walk away, and I hear it go
Clunk.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, I didn't get it right. I hate pumping gas. I hate it so much.
By the way, gas pumps are disgusting. During COVID, when it first happened, I kept a thing of handy wipes in my car because I thought, okay, I don't want to touch this gas pump because COVID people have touched it or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I wiped down the thing with a handy wipe, and it
Yeah.
was so disgusting. And I just thought, these are never clean. They're
They've never
full
been
of
clean.
gasoline and
No.
dirt. And my whole life, I've just been walking up to a gas pump and being like, "You're grabbing it." That's so disgusting. I keep a pair of gloves in my.
You know what
really?
I do is
Yeah.
I'll just pour a little of the gasoline on my
Yeah, yeah.
hands, and that just kills whatever the germs are
You have to do it before and after, though.
before and after.
That explains that smell.
It's a good smell. Everybody likes it.
I would like to thank everyone for being on this episode. It's been delightful.
Mhm.
We did not get through all the calls, so we will save those for next time. I'd like to remind everyone, patreon.com/AllisonRosen.
Patreon.
AllisonRosen.substack.com. Merch, my book, all the things. Just support me widely and ardently. Daniel, what about you?
What about me?
Do you have anything you want to talk about?
Not really. Everybody just hang in there. You know what I mean? Just keep on being yourself, and don't let the bastards get you down.
Cool
Motivation.
as fuck.
Monroe.
Oh, I love it so much, Jeff.
I have nothing to plug. I will double tap for Daniel's plea for everyone to just hang in there
Hang in
and
there.
don't let the turkeys get you down.
There you go.
Thank you for listening. I love you. You matter. Goodbye.
Hey, do you know about the Allison Rosen show?